I bet you have earrings that just won't sit right. They tilt, they droop, they hang unevenly. If you've ever wondered why earrings can be so tricky and what to do about it, I'm offering practical solutions in this video. Earrings are the trickiest jewel to fit. I know it seems so simple, you just pop them on, but there's a surprising amount going on behind the scenes. First, we're going to talk about what's going on with ears and with piercing in general, because that's going to help us find the solutions specific for you. Our bodies, including our ears, are not naturally symmetrical. Asymmetry is the rule in the human world. We can create perfection from AI, but not with our DNA. Things go off. You're not alone either. No one is symmetrical. So with our ears, it could be an east-west across the face symmetry where one has a different shape. The lobe is a little bit different. There's different tilts to them. And then it's also north-south, up and down. One ear can be higher than the other. So we have our natural body asymmetry, and then we layer on that the asymmetry in the ear piercing. We would, theoretically, you'd want that piercing to go straight through the ear, right? But what happens is they often are at angles, and they're at different angles. And then watch this part. They go up and down, but they're at different directions as well. So they have different tilt angles and then different direction angles. So because of that, that's why earrings get so difficult to fit. Now, some of these are just realities that we're going to have to accept, like the shape of our ear, or if one's a little higher or so forth. We just need to really accept that nobody's perfect, right? But others we can address, like posts can be adjusted. I'll show you how. Backs can be upgraded. Earrings can be repositioned or redesigned, and sometimes without a lot of trouble. So that's keep in mind and accept that we all have ear and piercing asymmetries. And next I'm going to be going through the top earring fit troubles and some ideas on how to fix them. Clip earrings can be a godsend, especially for larger or heavier pieces. With no post, there's a lot of freedom on where you place your earring on your ear, giving it the support it needs, and so it doesn't tip, and then you can position the earrings symmetrically. I use clip earrings when designing larger, heavier earrings where I don't want to limit their positioning by a hole that's low on the earlobe, or I don't want to stretch an earlobe by supporting a heavy earring with a post in it. Clip earrings are the most likely to fit a variety of ears. That's one of the reasons that many earrings in the luxury branded jewelry houses are clip. The sale is easier because the earrings don't have to be fit specifically to somebody's ear. They can put them on and go. And then they do tend to be heavier, so you want to be able to position them in a way that's flattering. I'm going to show you some of my clip earrings so you can see how they're configured and how they work, and consider if they're for you. Now, I'm a very active person. As you can see, I talk with my hands. I'm pretty enthusiastic. I'm very fun-loving. And I've had my clip earrings, I'm going to show you these a little closer, since the mid-90s without any loss. One doesn't come off if it's done right. Let me show you how. Let's take a closer look at the antique Indian earrings I'm wearing now. When I first purchased them about 30 years ago, they had a post. You can often convert your earrings that have a post to a clip. So let's look at them more closely and see if that's an option for you. With the post in them, I knew that if I wore a post with this heavy earring, that it would enlarge my ear hole over time. Remember, I've had them for 30 years. It's going to enlarge it, and it's going to pull down my earlobe. And I didn't want to do that. It actually hurt a little bit too. So what I did was I used, sometimes they're called, it's a back that has more of a snap to it. It has strength to it. And in this back, I have this little cushion pad. It's a friction pad. I'll put a link on where you can get those. They're very inexpensive. They're easy to go in and out of these types of earrings. It gives it more comfort and then more friction on your ear. And then we installed, see this gold piece here? It's called a friction pad. There's lines on it, so it's not just a smooth, slippery, shiny thing. And that gives it more friction on your ear as well. So they stay put. They don't stretch my earlobe over time. I go out and I'm active and talk. Would I go clubbing in these and be shaking my head all over? No, I wouldn't. That's appropriate wear. Don't do that, all right? Now, next I'm going to show you another pair of clip earrings. This is a pair of tanzanite earrings that I have. I call them the Spanish fan. They have a little different back on them, but again, it's very strong. These don't have a friction pad on the back, but there's a lot going on here where my ear goes up to that, so I'm not worried about it leaving. Now the reason, and I've made these for clients too, but the reason that I make these clip is because it's kind of important where they go on the ear. I want the outside shape of the fan to kind of move and work along with the outside shape of your ear. So if your piercing hole is low, these would tip forward. So I just want to be able to position them correctly. So this is a very good way to wear clip earrings as well. Now let's talk about posts and friction backs. First, I want you to think about all the work that a post does. It goes through your ear, and it's supposed to be holding up all the weight on the front of an earring that wants to swing or tip downward. It's like a seesaw, and there's nothing much obstructing its move forward. That's where earring backs really matter, and not all backs are created equal. Let me show you a few. How is this little back supposed to support all of the weight of a post earring? It really doesn't. I would get rid of those. Also, the thing that I have the most trouble with, these backs with the little plastic saucer on them, these are responsible for more loss of my earrings than anything else. I don't use them. What you'd want is a back that is made in such a way that it can have enough force to exert and counteract the weight of the earring in front of it, and distributes the weight around the post so that it's not all hanging on one little seesaw post. What you want is an earring back that's engineered to counterbalance the forward tilt of your stud earring. Now, a lot of times they're strong, and then they have open spaces within them to redistribute that force so it's not just centered on one little pivot point. There's any number of these. They're on Amazon. I've put links to them in the show notes so you could find some of them that I've tried and worked. Those are all the gold-plated ones or gold tone ones. Now, through your jeweler, you can also get heavier gold backs, and I put them on everything because I don't want to lose earrings, and I don't lose earrings, so I don't use those little things. But they're like this. You could buy them at a jeweler's shop, a jeweler's finding shop, and so forth. But that's a really good way to be able to perk up your stud earrings. It's kind of like a wonder bra for your ear. I'll show you how I solve this with my progressive pearl earring wardrobing system. Now with this system, I need to have pearls that are at least 10.5 millimeters or larger. So that's on the larger size. This one's 13 millimeters. And the reason I need them larger is because there's a mechanism inside where the post can be removed, and then the same pearl that you could be wearing as a stud could also be worn as a drop on an earring you might have. So that's why those are larger. I'll put a link so you can see what I'm talking about in the show notes. But with all of the backs on these, I shape the backs like a satellite dish. They're curved and cupped. So what that does is it redistributes the weight on the back of the ear so it doesn't just hang from one point. It pushes forward and it redistributes. Some people like to wear big gemstones up close on their earlobe, but those gemstones are going to tip on them no matter how strong our friction back. So I devised a workaround on that too. I put a stem on it. So this ametrine is about 20 carats. And with the stem, I use the stem and I use one of those powerful friction backs. But it keeps it from tipping forward on my ear. And then the big friction back keeps it from pulling on my ear. So that's a good solution as well. Sometimes I've added stems retrofitted. I'm showing you all of these tricks because a lot of times you can retrofit a favorite pair of earrings you have, or maybe one that's handed down to you and you don't want to do a complete redesign on it. Sometimes we can retrofit. Before we leave posts and friction backs completely, I want to mention these adhesive backs that you can get that adhere to the back of your earlobe and really help support your earrings. I found out about them from several people who actually work in the jewelry business, so they wear them a lot and they swear by them. I'll have a link for some of it in the show notes so it can help you find them. Earrings on wires. Let's talk about them. I call them swan neck wires, but I think it just sounds so romantic and magical. But they're often called French wires or sometimes even gooseneck wires. But they are those curved wires, I know you know what they are, that go through the ear. And they can be very tricky for women that have stretched or even uneven piercings on their lobes, or just unflattering because they can hang down too low. And remember, with earrings, we want to bring the energy up, and that's what makes them so darn energizing. But the solution, I find, lies in the length of the wire. Let me demonstrate it with an earring I have. Let me show you what I mean by keeping the ear wire short on this amethyst pearl and diamond earring from my online boutique. But by short, I mean where the wire attaches to the top of the decorative earring, the distance between that and this, the very top that actually goes through your ear. I keep that short because the shorter the distance, the more lift, the less droop. Now the magic number is 2.5 millimeters to do that. Now there's workarounds for that, so don't worry if your earrings aren't that way. Of course, usually a jeweler can rework the angle of them. It's not just the length. Sometimes it's this angle in here that makes them look, move forward and fit for you better too. But short is what does it. So the way I shorten it is I get these little silicone grommets. Again, they're listed in the show notes. You see what I mean here? And you put the earring on, then you put these little grommet on, and you pull it up really tight behind your ear. And what that does is it kind of creating more support for you. So put it through your ear, put the silicone grommet up on the wire and move it up really high next to your ear, and then you're ready to go. And you won't lose your earring either, but that helps to really support it and pull it up. A common misconception a lot of people have is that they put their earrings on and they think they should be facing forward, but they almost never face forward. I think we get that conception by looking at them in the jewelry display case, and they can place forward. Why? Because they're not on ears, right? But just think about it. How often do people really see us face forward? Yes, if you're making a video or something like that. But most of the time, we're sitting across from somebody, we're talking, we're moving, our angles are changing. People see us on the move. They don't see us static, and our earrings aren't going to necessarily just face forward. Maybe if they're clipped, but the odds are that they're not going to do it if they have a post. So keep that in mind, all right? Especially when we talk about the next thing. One thing to keep in mind is that the fit for each of your ears may be different. Sometimes one earring just works better on one ear than another. That's because of, our body asymmetry and the difference in the ways that our earring holes are shot through our ear. It's not unusual. You've probably noticed it. It's especially noticeable with hoop earrings. I think it's because the hoop just continues on the trajectory of the piercing hole, but they can look a little wonky. So often a quick fix is to just switch them, switch left to right, and vice versa. Often just by switching sides, you're going to solve some of the earring fit troubles. Give it a try and you'll see what I mean. If switching your earrings doesn't work, often the post angle can be adjusted to compensate, to redirect your earrings in the right direction. Now, you would want to take it to a jeweler to do that, but it's not a hard fix, and I've done a lot of that as retrofitting for clients before. This earring fit is so important. I keep photos of clients' earlobes in my design files to make sure I'm always taking them into account when I'm figuring out the positioning of how the ear is going to work with the earring. In creating custom pieces, sometimes I'll even have different earring angles for left and right to be able to bring the earrings in forward instead of going to the outside. Or sometimes one ear hole is going to be higher than the other, or one ear, so I'll have posts at different angles and at different levels to be able to accommodate for that. I want to stress again that everything I've talked about so far, all of these fixes, a lot of them are simple fixes that you can do yourself with purchases you might make on Amazon, or you could take to your jeweler, and not all the time, but some of the time it could be a very simple fix, like just repositioning or re-angling the posts or the earring wire, something like that, all right? So all is not lost if your earrings aren't working for you. It doesn't mean that you necessarily need to do a complete redesign on them, but we could do a little tweak. It's all about refining the fit to our real life shapes, and nothing's wrong with our shapes. Everybody has something. We're not symmetrical. If you have a stretched earring hole, you've probably heard of people getting their hole stitch closed and then re-piercing them again. And I did do that. I have experience with that, so let me share that. And it's the experience of two other women at my office at the time, which was very similar. Mine worked out, but there's no guarantees. Scar tissue can form where they close your earring hole, and then that limits where they re-pierce the hole. So I was a little disappointed in that what? You can't re-pierce it in a better place? No, they couldn't, because there was scar tissue there. So mine are still a little uneven, but what the heck? What's a little irregularity? We just need to accept and enjoy life. Instead, many clients of mine, and one just did this week and showed me the pictures, many clients of mine go for dermal fillers in their earring lobe. Just a couple of jabs, just the sound jab, but it doesn't really hurt in your ear, so I hear. But a couple of like little sticks in your earlobe from a dermatologist or a Medi-Spa pro, and your lobes will be plumped up like you're 22 again. There's more support, less droop, and just a more youthful profile. They do that I don't know if it's once a year or so. It wears out a little bit. It lasts. If you're going for skin treatments, it's worth asking for. I think I'm going to do it. With all of this talk about earring problems and fixes, let's stop for just a minute and think about, what do earrings really do for us? Why are they such an important type of jewelry? Well, earrings brighten our face. They enliven us, that brightness here on our face. And what happens is that somebody says to us, oh, I love your earrings. But you know what they're really saying? They're saying, you look fantastic. And then you take that energizing compliment and you stand a little taller, you feel more radiant, and you pass on that zest to the next person. It has a ripple effect, all from a well-chosen pair of earrings. That's one reason why I created my new and free daily adornment ritual. It's an easy 3 minutes max practice that I developed to not just wear my jewels, but to feel their energizing beauty and connect me to what's important all day long. I do it in the morning when I get dressed. I was drained and despondent, and this short practice brought back all my vitality and zest. The download for it will be in the comments. Let me know what you think. Now let's summarize what all we've gone through. Everything will be time-stamped and chaptered. If you look in the description of the show, you can find what specifically addresses your problems. But here they are. Ta-da! Don't get hung up on perfect symmetry in ears or anything else. Perfection is for those who aren't living. Explore clip-ons for more control in positioning your earrings. Use friction backs and supportive patches to balance the weight and tipping of earrings. Shorten your ear wires. 2.5 millimeters is my sweet spot for more lift and less droop, and use those silicone grommets. They might help be able to lift those wires even further. Switch your ears if one side may fit better than the other. Sometimes angling posts adjust the earrings' misdirections. Consider dermal fillers for your earlobes for more support. Remember, people don't look at us face forward all the time. We are on the go, and our earrings are often viewed on the move as well. And when you wear your earrings, feel their beauty and pass the ripples of joy on. I'm Cynthia Renee, a gem mine geologist turned color gemstone dealer and award-winning jewelry designer. If you've got a pair of earrings that's giving you fits, tell me about it in the comments. I bet I can help you. You'll find more jewelry styling tips in my playlist called The Jewelry Insider's Styling Hacks. It's posted here somewhere. Until next time, keep your earrings and your spirit uplifted.